Hello. Let's get down to brass tacks. All business, right? It's like any haircut besides the mullet. No party in the back. Business up front. Business all around. Because on this edition of the Presidential Speculatainment podcast, we are just going to cover some overall news. Okay? I've got some news right here in front of me. I'm looking at it. You know that old thing, the newspaper? You know, I'm guessing a lot of you probably don't, have that as some kind of object in your life. It's 2015 after all. It's sort of like, the latter days of the once great dodo bird is what the newspaper is looking like right about now, as well as those news channels. And you know what? I don't really lose a lot of sleep over the slow death of those institutions. I don't know about you. I'm too busy listening to podcasts, checking out crazy YouTube videos, which can be very informative regarding the subjects that you've decided that you need to know about to be more informed and fully operational, just like the Death Star was in Return of the Jedi. Even though they didn't think that it was. They found out that thing's fully operational during the the flying mission. Well, hopefully you are too, with the right information. Okay, for starters, some economic news. We still have seen the unemployment rate dropping. Obama likes to brag about that. In the meanwhile, the labor force participation rate is at its lowest level since in the mid-70s. I forget which year exactly it was, but I know that there were a lot more ladies staying home and just, running the household back in the 1970s. So now, in 2015, we have a high enough level of people who are not participating in the labor force to compete with the 1970s. So that's you have to consider that fact along with the unemployment percentage, which I think it's 5 point something. I don't have it right in front of me. We are continuing to get allegedly good news about the economy, adding jobs. Of course, a lot of the jobs are in the service and retail sectors, retail, hospitality, restaurants, and so forth. But there are some news people who are telling encouraging stories. Average income up. Apparently, it in 2014, the bottom 99% of people's incomes was up 3.3%, which is biggest annual gain in about 15 years. So hey, there's a little good news for you. If you're in the 1%, and I'm not one of those guys who, just goes out and demonizes, people that are in the 1%. Just to give you my point of view on it, I think it's pretty obvious. We would all like to be in the 1%, if possible. So it's kind of like an envious insult, I suppose, to bash the people whose incomes are up in the same time period 11%. So hey, definitely have got some growth up there where the cream rises to the top, or perhaps was born at the top. You decide. So there's a little income news. We've got something that I guess you can spend your wage windfall on, because who would have thunk it? Rate increases in health insurance. What kind of rate increases? I mean, we get those every year. Well, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they're asking increases at an average of 23% in Illinois, 25% in North Carolina, 31% in Oklahoma, 36% in Tennessee, 54% in Minnesota, Oregon, Moda Health Plan wants a 25% increase. Oh, the Scott and White Health Plan in Texas seeking a 32% rate increase. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of New Mexico would like 51% increases. And Geisinger would like 40% increase in the rate. That's the price, of course. Let's see here. Boy, we got prices that are headed for the skies, the stratosphere. And this is just, what is it, the second year of the implementation of Obamacare, which has been praised as successful. And, that's accurate in one certain domain, right? But we're gonna not be fooled by domain type confusion, right? What's a success in one domain might be a failure in another, because a lot of people have gotten insured. But don't forget that, I think 10.2 million people obtained coverage this year. That would be through the new marketplaces. 85% are getting subsidy. You know, some kind of subsidy tax credit. Well, what did the top advocate for Obamacare, the fellow who the bill was nicknamed after, what did he have to say about it? Well, President Obama, he basically took the blame, off himself and the people who passed the bill twofold, 2 levels removed. He said, hey, consumers, hey, you guys should put pressure on those state insurance regulators. Hey, state insurance regulators, what's going on? To scrutinize the proposed rate increases. So, state insurance regulators, guys, how come you guys are just letting these guys just increase stuff? And consumers, why are you guys just letting your regulators just letting guys increase stuff? So, boom, wham, slam, dodge, totally with a quick spin move, got his way out of that. So there were some emails, in the IRS agency. You remember Lois Lerner? Remember her? I guess this whole thing started when IRS agents in a Cincinnati office, they started singling out these. I guess this is from the last election cycle, because Tea Party groups, I think some religious groups, conservative groups were singled out by the agency, the IRS, and I suppose sort of bullied around improperly, right? So they were not supposed to do that. This is supposed to be so like if you're, for instance, even if you don't like those groups, just keep in mind that this is the same agency, let's say a hardcore conservative. Like, let's say you got a President Cruz, or I'll do you one even further. Let's say you've got a President Rand Paul, right? Like, if you've got an ultimate Tea Party, cowboy in the White House. Imagine that for a second. I'm just saying it could go the other way, too. That you could have an IRS that suddenly starts singling out and bullying around liberal, or progressive, or whatever your affinity may be politically. The precedent here is not just, if you're in the Tea Party, watch out. It's the IRS did some things that were political, basically penalized a political group. So that could be any group in the future. So, but that's not the subject of this news story. The news story just says that the emails that got deleted after Lois Lerner resigned, after Congress started investigating, asking questions, after the IRS repeatedly alerted employees starting in May 2013 that they got to save all emails, computer tapes, all other records relating to these ongoing congressional investigations. Well, in March 2014, right, 10 months later, there were some tapes erased, which contained 24,000 emails to and from former IRS official Lois Lerner. Oh, her. Wait, 24,000 of her emails? Oh my goodness. Again, that's not even the news story. We're just getting closer. The news story is that don't worry everybody. This was not a conspiracy. It's actually even worse. It's just gross incompetence. A lead investigator on the case said that there's no evidence that the employees who erased the stuff were part of a criminal conspiracy. Which, by the way, is not the same thing as there's evidence that it was not a criminal conspiracy. That's different than there's no evidence that it was a criminal conspiracy. Right? That's a very slight distinction. And it just depends how much of a smart cookie you are, if you can draw that distinction there. But no, it was not no evidence was found to prove that it was some kind of conspiracy. Instead, what we've found out from the investigator, right? And we're talking about a Treasury Inspector General, J. Russell George, right? I guess he initials his first name, J. Russell George. Interesting. And we got the Deputy Inspector General for Investigations, Timothy P. Camus. Initialized this more normally his middle name. We're finding out from the top investigators on the case. It was actually two lower graded employees at some IRS center in Martinsburg, West Virginia. They just erased 422 computer backup tapes. And these were what contained those 24,000 emails. Just like, I'm concerned that we're using tapes. First of all, why are we using tapes? Or is this some kind of insider, tech term? But it really sounds like an actual... Oh, wait, no, hold on. We have a little bit of a description. According to these investigators, those employees, I guess just these two guys, these two just schmoes, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, let's call them, because they're not named, actually, and what I've got here in front of me, they just said, according to the investigators, those employees said, our job is to put these pieces of plastic in this machine and magnetically obliterate them. We had no idea that there was any type of preservation order from the chief technology officer. So, guys, don't worry, okay? It was not a conspiracy. It's just these two bumbling public servants who are just going around deleting plastic tapes that our public records are being preserved on. So thank goodness for that. But now that you're done worrying about that, hopefully you won't be kept up at night over World War III, right? Because Russia and the U.S. are getting along, kind of like maybe a cat and a dog, or maybe just two snakes. I don't know, but they're I don't know if it's Barack or Putin, but somebody's been sleeping on the couch. Things have been deteriorating on that subject. There is a new buildup of the military kind. We got a story here about NATO forces and equipment that, they're doing like a makeover. A lot of people said at the beginning of this year, all right, 2015 is going to be a new year. I'm finally going to be the new me. I'm going to be better, faster, smarter, sexier. I'm going to lose those man boobs. I'm going to finally stop eating those burritos from 7-Eleven. I'm going to start wearing, heels that are an inch higher. I'm going to learn how to balance. I'm going to build up military units. In this case, the NATO's response force, we've got an increase, which was 13,000, right? The number of this response force was 13,000 of these, troops. There's an increase that's been ordered to get that number up to as many as 40,000. So, geez, you thought, crunching your way into a six-pack was a big change. Well, we're seeing a number of these forces, 13,000 at the beginning of the year, requesting to be ticked up to as many as 40,000. That's a big number, folks. However, according to this NATO group, we've got a statement that says, this is coming from the NATO Secretary General, Jens Stoltenberg, saying that we do not seek confrontation and we do not win an arms race. Oh, okay. There's also, in addition to the requests of just man and woman power, we've got requests for better equipment and more firepower on the supply side of things. So more out of Secretary General. We want to keep our nation safe and faced with many challenges from many directions. We need to be prepared. Oh, right. Yeah, it's Russia's fault. Now, in fairness, Russia did just the other week added 40 brand spanking new intercontinental ballistic missiles to the old arsenal. And back in December, they airlifted some. By the way, I don't know what airlift it is. I think it's got something to do. All right, state of the art Iskander missiles. Oh, which can be fitted with nuclear or conventional warheads. Oh, convenient. Oh, they airlifted them over to the westernmost Baltic territory of Kaliningrad. Okay, so Russia's doing some sketchy things. It's like the dog chasing his tail, right? Is the fault of the tail for wagging, or the teeth for chomping? So, in response to Russia, we have the U.S. that are just not the U.S. The U.S. and NATO, all the NATO people. They're claiming we do not see confrontations and we do not want a new arms race. We don't want that. Are we participating in one? Different question, right? I mean, we are. The troops are getting built up and the equipment's getting ordered. So keep an eye on that. There is hope, though, in the U.S.-Russia relations, because there was a little bit of cooperation not too long ago when an unmanned Russian cargo ship it docked successfully at the International Space Station. At the station, U.S. and Russian people were up there. The last two supply missions had failed. And so they were apparently anxiously awaiting for these supplies to arrive. This ship was carrying some fuel, oxygen, water, food, other supplies. So hey, right, we got a little lift up from the helping hand of Russia there. Although it did, no one was driving the ship. Interesting, we got this use of the word unmanned. And I don't know, that seems a little politically incorrect to be printed in a newspaper. But Russia did also have its own interests, considering that there were Russians up there too that were I don't know, I guess they're run out of Funyuns. Not just Americans. So that's a more interesting question, if Russia would have shared its Funyuns with just America. So we're still not sure. But I can tell you who doesn't eat a lot of those, judging by photographs of a shirtless dude on a horse. It would be Mr. Putin. Some a little bit of warfare right here in our own borders. Gang warfare is it's awful, man. I call it warfare because it's nothing less. We've got a lot of gang violence in Chicago. Chicago has more gang violence than New York and Los Angeles, which are both bigger cities in terms of population. But in Chicago, the problem is much worse. During the 4th of July weekend, 48 people were wounded by gunfire. And 48 people in 34 separate incidents. In Chicago, 7 homicides were reported. Also, it's a little telling about. I'm not sure it's telling. It suggests that a lot of these bullets are whizzing around and not hitting the intended vital organs. I mean, like, right? There's just 7 homicides. Why, so many people are getting wounded? There's something going on here with, maybe these gang members have been taking, like, dodging class. Maybe there's some YouTube instructional videos out there about how to dodge, and then maybe it just catches you in the arm or something. So it was a very violent weekend over 4th of July weekend. Yeah. Boy. But there's even more to worry about if you're not in a gang. Because according to a new national study, guys, fireworks pollute the air. Oh my goodness. According to a study that included 315 locations, it concluded that the air gets polluted when fireworks go off. Levels of airborne microscopic particles are temporarily boosted after the firework explodes. Now, just some reassuring news. The following day, those levels fell back, to normal. But so I guess for this small period of time, right after the firework explodes, the air is polluted. So, according to Dion Seidel of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, he said that the study did not look for any resulting effects on health. What? So what? It's D-I-A-N. Is that Dion? So what are we paying Dion to do? 315 locations collecting information about airborne microscopic particles. And what can Dion tell us? I mean, I could have told you that fireworks pollute air for I mean, I didn't know that it went away so quickly. Oh my goodness. So studies like this are going on and just telling us what could be easily guessed. And, of course, has no relation to offering you any useful knowledge about your own health or anything like that. But, just a little bit of extra guilt to go with your American Heritage this year. And on a final note, one of the most dramatic stories that I've seen in a while. So it's not just, gang gunfire that you need to watch out for. It's not just Russia dropping a warhead on your head. It's not just air that's polluted by fireworks going off. You better watch out for your favorite significant other, because she might do something crazy. Okay? Like this lady. I'm not going to say her name because, listen guys, we all do some questionable things sometimes. And hey, I mean, she's 29. She's got time to learn and hopefully not make the same mistakes, because this happened in Northeast Austin, Texas. The firefighters got called at 3 a.m. because there was a fire in a house. And the fire was actually in the master bedroom's closet. The fire caused $150,000 in structural damage and $50,000 damage to the contents. So first of all, we're talking about a very high-end wardrobe, at least what was claimed or reported. And why was a closet on fire in Northeast Austin, Texas? What does this have to do with a 29-year-old, Jane Doe? Well, according to the fire department investigator, this otherwise nice young lady apparently got into an argument with her husband when she came back home after being out drinking. Oh my goodness. So not only does she go out drinking on the town, coming back at 3 a.m., wants to pick a fight, but she opened up the closet and set one of her husband's shirts on fire using a lighter. That's what happened. Those are the facts. Simply amazing. I'll tell you what, that sounds like an exciting relationship. Never a dull moment. I really, if a divorce comes out of this whole thing, I might like to meet this gal. Because she sounds like, I don't know, somebody enjoyable to, I don't know, maybe shoot a few rounds of tequila with and see what she wants to do later that night. But hopefully that would not involve arson to, your own place. So that's what America looks like in July 2015. I suppose you could say, we got a little mosaic of information about what's going on in the world, in your country, in your backyard. And I will continue when I believe it's appropriate to present to you some of the broader, more mainstream stories that are out there, in addition to the latest political, stuff. So, I hope you have found this to be informative, and hopefully a little bit, silly, and maybe a tad fun. And I do hope to see you as a new subscriber of the podcast. I would especially love if you rated me. You don't even have to give me 5 stars. I mean, just give me an honest amount of stars, and I will stop complaining about having no stars. And check out my website, presidentialspeculatainment.com. You know me by now. I'm your host, Dan Winslow, and I will see you guys on the next edition of the podcast, my YouTube channel, all that social media hip stuff, and down at the corner store, of course. After all, I think I'm going to need some new shirts.